Hello, welcome to the class. Dr. O here. Today, we're going to talk about public goods and common resources. Last time, we learned about externalities. Well, externalities are one of the reason why market fails, and today also it'll be continue to the other goods, other situations. But mainly this kind of market failure coming out the property of goods. Well, goods or services are categorized for four groups. So one of them is public goods, and another one is common resources. And regular, so far we think about some goods and services transacted in the market. That is another categories. So four categories. The last one is club goods. We define what kind of standard or characteristic we can define these four categories and what is the main problems or market failure can be coming out from the public goods and common resources cases. And we're looking at the club good cases very briefly, the later part. So today we are going to looking at the characteristic of goods and services to categorize four groups of goods and services. And then each one of them, what is the problem and how we can deal with this in the sense of market system. First of all, we want to go over a little bit of questions about this chapter. First one, what is public goods and what is common resources? And as I told you and briefly explained about four categories, public goods, common resources, and general goods, so far we learned about that is already transacted in the market without any issues. But very last one is club goods. So four categories, how we can categorize it, and what is exactly public goods and common resources means. And we are more focused on public goods and common resources today. Because common resources kind of we touch a little bit about externalities and furthermore about the reason why government should intervene in the market is initially public good point of view. So public goods are exactly not transacted in the market if government is not involving to the transactions or producing process and all those economical decision making, then public good will not be transacted in the market. That's the problem. So we will see first what is the public goods, and also we looking at what is the common resources, what type of thing categorized as the common resources. And we're looking at what makes that problems to provide public goods in the general public. Like every single members in communities or nations need public services. But in general setup, in the market system itself, cannot make them to produce it properly or efficiently in the certain social optimum level. So what is the main problem comes out from that direction. We need to see about it. Why do market fails is another way to express that problems. And then next is if it is in the public goods or common resources, what type of thing or what type of policy government can do to solve this issue. Let's see one by one. Before we categorize four cases, before that, let's think about this. What is a public good? Well, just a simple example will drive you more understanding of what is a public goods means. What kind of thing is belonging to public goods category? Well, first thing is a public park. Everybody can go there. It depending on the situations, but usually it is a free to use. So everybody come in to walking in the Central Park. Mainly, all other national park in general, it is for free to use. So under the cases, there is a lot of people and the citizens can enjoy them. But if it is not provided by the government, that kind of facility or that kind of service can exist or not. Think about that. Public service, like as a park, well, is it possible to provide it? Next one is national defense, or the firefighters, fire extinguish service. And also we can think of some other goods. It is categorized of common resources, but fresh air, water, clean water. Well, nowadays we, consume clean water as a form of bottled water, and we buy it to enjoy that. But in general, we using the sewer, or the water system to consuming the clean water. Maybe some part you pay as utilities, but still some part is provided by the general public, and that is public sector is provided to us. Well, under that sense, let's think about that. First of all, national defense. This is a classical public service, right? Even in Wealth of Nation from Adam Smith also talk about this. Laissez-faire system, market is the best. We need to stay in the market system to maximizing efficiency, but only exception he mentioned way before than our discussion like market failure. He insists that national defense and firefighting service, fire department. So as long as government is staying in the service as a public service, defending the country, extinguish the fire, catching the burglar, like a policing service, as long as government is doing it and all property right is assigned legally and using the free will, market system will go on the most efficient solutions. That is Adam Smith's Wealth of Nations. Yeah. Invisible hand. Market system itself is the most efficient system. But at that moment, even he also comment about two public service, which is, actually three. Well, more than that in small categories, but he mentioned that defending the country, catching the burglar, extinguishing the fire, those pure side of public service, public goods, is already taken care of or already mentioned. We consider that part already. So that is classical. So it is not that big trouble, much of it. Even though we insist that or advocate the market system is the best, market system is better. So let's say fair style of policy, but we consider already, pre-assume that public good is already there. Except that, what should we do and how we can define this one, these goods and services are categorized or belonging to the set of public goods. And then we need to do it, or government should do the service. And then more like other categories, common resources, how we can deal with it as a government perspective. And the policy, economic policy, should be considered under that category as long as we define that, categories and finding out which goods or services are belonging to each one of the categories, and then we can find out the best way to deal with them. Public goods cases is a one extinct characteristics relative to normally transacted in the market, normal goods. In that cases, public goods, we cannot make proper pricing systems. So the key of market system is market price is determined in the market. Equilibrium price will be determined at the market. But public goods, we cannot directly see the price of it. And if you insist to transact it in the market itself breaking down. Market fails. Why is that? We will see one by one from now on. The private market cannot handle with public goods because of what type of characteristics the public goods have. That's what we are going to see. That's why social efficient solution cannot be derived in the characteristics some goods and services are belonging to or having that characteristic of public goods. It's make the market fails. Let's see one by one. Now we are looking at the characteristic of goods to categorize goods and services to 1, 2, 3, 4, categories. So first, the characteristic we are looking at is excludability. Excludability is with the price as a target or as a method, we can exclude people or somebody who is not paid for that cannot consume that product or consume that goods or services. So we say that as adjective form as good is excludable if only the person who pay for it can use them. So the system of a pricing and somebody who actually pay the price can enjoy that goods or services. That's excludability or, the goods. The good is excludable if only the person who pay for it can enjoy it. So that's excludability. So general goods are excludable. So like a hamburgers, sandwich, you want to buy a hamburger and you go pay for it. You want to go buy an apple, you pay for it and you can enjoy it. You need to pay the price. By doing so, you can enjoy the goods. Not excludable cases, something not belonging to that private goods. Like a general we are using, that is called private goods, public goods, club goods, and common resources. That's 4 categories. I said a normal, general, but that is the not proper word for defining it because, normal good is a relating issue with the income effect or income changes, consumption increases, that's normal. If it is not inferior, we define it before. So the normal is not proper words, right? General, its word is general, but it is not proper to define that good. So private goods, public goods, common resources, club good. That is 4 categories. Now, private goods have excludable. So all the private goods, in general, we come up with the daily life, most likely private goods. But under that, excludable, not excludable goods are belonging all other categories. So not excludable examples are FM radio. Once it's on the air freely, if you have a receiver, you can listen to it. That signal can be captured by the radio, right? Radio receiver. National defense, public goods, we know that, right? Once we go into the military and you serve for it, that service protecting the country. Somebody who is a citizen, just enjoy it as a default. We are not directly paying for the army or navy, somebody who is in the military. And even we are, young males should go, healthy young males should go to the military service as a mandatory service. But that is not transacted in the market. So excludability. Excludability is coming out from the price. Price scheme can exclude somebody who is not paying the price or the cost as long as the goods or the system itself, somebody only pay for this goods and services can enjoy the goods. It's private good cases, it's more feels like natural. But actually, public goods, club goods, it is not like that. So FM radios or national defense was the one of the example in this slide. Next one is rivalry. Rival. So yeah, some teams are rival. That adjective, right? In this, we define as this: a good is a rival in consumption if one's use of it diminishes the other use. Well, it's kind of complicated what it means. As simply speaking, you take one, some others, except you can enjoy something n, right? The maximum number of produced is n, let's say. N minus 1 is only available. Does it make sense? Rival, somebody take it already. Somebody takes it already, like 20 out of 100, only 80 left. That is a property or characteristic of a rival. Something is a rival, somebody used it, that used up amount is gone out of total number. So you have a power, you have money. In Korea, let's say 100 apple available, you ate 50 of them, only 50 left. That's a rival. But in general, private goods are usually act like that. In the market, we observe that. And that is very obvious. We can think that way. But national service, national defense, public service cases, let's think about it. Somebody is going to the park. Well, its area as the boundaries, and if once it is very crowded, somebody else can lose their chance to enjoy it. But in general, public services are not like that. Somebody who already enjoying the national defense, military is already there, firefighters already stay there. There is not that many chance all over the place we have a fire. But something happens, they will come to extinguish the fire. So I enjoy the existence of firefighter. That doesn't reducing the others are secured by the existence of them. National defense is like that too. So it's total opposite of private goods and public goods. So public goods doesn't have excludability and rivalry. Somebody who took already enjoy the national defense, that doesn't mean that my enjoyment is less by that consumption or under the coverage. Private goods, everything is rivalry. So rival goods are examples of anything you can imagine, like apple, pears, sandwiches, hamburgers. Yeah, somebody ate it up. That amount is gone out of the market. But not rival. Let's think of this. So yeah, here is example is MP3 files. In my time, back to like my college years, is a huge issue with file sharing, right? So that is somebody who buy a CD and burn the CD, and that's take as MP3 files. Nowadays, MP3, MP4, like music files or voice files, those can be stored as the extension name as MP3. So videos, MP4, that is the extension of it. Under that, you have the files. Easily copy them to send to someone else and can enjoy, listen to the music for free. Nowadays, base service or the way of enjoying is totally changed. So it's a little bit different stories. But this one is like that. Someone took the one of the MP3 files, but someone else cannot take it one less. No, copying is really easy. The cost is very low. Intellectual property rights, yeah, behind the scene of this problem is like that. How we can protect intellectual property. Somebody who wrote the music and producing the lines and the total production of the music, they have lots of effort in it, but it is not guaranteed if you just pirately copying it. So that was a huge issue back then to 1990s to right now, but still under the sense of it, additional making on file is just no cost. Approximately like 1 second, 2 seconds, just a click can reproduce it. So under that sense, rival is not whole in the cases. So the two characteristics to categorize the four groups of goods: rivalry, excludability. Excludability is relating issue with the pricing. Price can exclude somebody who pay it or not. Rival, somebody take it, total amount less than that consumed amount should be gone. But public service, public goods doesn't have that issue. Or some other formats like MP3 files and the fresh airs. You breathe one more, breath. That doesn't mean that somebody else cannot take that much. It is regenerated as long as our nature holding like this way. So two characteristics is really important to categorize them. So let's think about a little bit more about it. So first one is private goods, excludable, and rival is hold. So like general food, you buy it, pay for it, and then you can enjoy it. Once you enjoy it, that amount is depleted, right? Disappear out of total numbers. Public good, total opposite, not rivalry, not excludable, not rival, not excludable, right? Two characters doesn't hold in this category as a public good. So not excludable, not rival. National defense is really good example, or police systems, or firefighting systems, fire department system. Common resources. We looking at this issue last time as commons, tragedy of commons. We'll go touch a little bit about it today too, but we'll see later. But common resources, rival, but not excludable. Pricing doesn't matter. Yeah, the payment itself is not actually working, but the clean water can be damaged by externalities. Or we looking at tragedy of commons cases, right? There is no price on it, so everybody can enjoy that, place. And once everybody can allow to be feed their cows in this section or chapter, it changes to the sheep. But once it is that grass field is going to the barren. So the amount of grass, quality grass, is limited. Once somebody took it, the amount is depleted or disappeared. And another different example right here is fishing in ocean. So if the sea itself is not belonging to some country's territory, a certain country's territory, then everybody can access it and catch the fish. Like a tuna in the middle of, Pacific Oceans. Anybody, any country, fisherman can get there and then catch it. In that case, fishing in the ocean is common resources. If they are a lot of them go there, and then market itself the price is really high in the specific fish, then it will happen to disappearing. So we need some kind of regulation of number of catching of the certain fish and certain, time period, like laying egg period. Government or authority make them not catching the fish specifically, that species, or you cannot catch a certain size, less than certain size, you cannot catch it. So those kind of regulations exist because of some kind of control of common resources. Now, next one is club goods. Club goods are, membership based on the service usually. So one of them is a cable TV, or nowadays, phone lines. Cell phone lines are categorized like these cases. So in these cases, strikingly or interestingly, excludable but rival. Once infrastructure is built, right, you pay for it, you get into the inside of the member using the line freely, but yeah, it is price perspective. You can be excluded out of the service by that if you are not paying for it. But once you are the member, you can enjoy the service. So excludable, but not rival in this case. So with these categories four categories can be characterized with rivalry, excludability, what of the line or character you're putting in, and then you can make one of each as a table easily. So one thing you note is externality is generally happening in the case of public goods and common resources because price is not involving on those transactions and something has happened without proper compensation, right? So private goods, right? Private decision can make inefficient outcome under the happening of externality. So you can think easily or understand easily with that. So under that sense, government intervention is better. Now let's think about public good. Public goods has a characteristic: non-rival, non-excludable. The rivalry or rival and excludable is not hold in the public goods. Somebody who pay for the price only can enjoy it. No, it's not in public goods. Somebody took the service already. It doesn't mean that less number of product or service can be available in this, market or in this situation. That is not hold in the public goods. So something happens because of that characteristic. Number one issue or the striking issue is free riding problem. So public goods directly connected to free riders problem. So because of this, so free rider problem is eventually coming out the system that there is no such a pricing system exists. So nobody pay the public goods, right, cases. So in that cases, actually, we say nobody pay for it, but it is paid by tax. So generally, we pay tax with a certain economic activities, and that is determined by tax amount. So usually this type of cases happening all the time. So public good is free, so everybody want to have it, right? There is no burden to pay the price, so everybody want it. In that cases, you will enjoy it. Yeah, I'll take that. I'm down for it. It's free. But think about this. Who will pay for it? All right, let's make the beautiful park near here. Great, everybody loves it. But the problem is, I will raise the tax 2% from now on for an year or to feed this to, cost of construct the park. What are you gonna do? Nobody say we need it. I don't want to pay tax on it, right? Building a public park, I will enjoy it, but I need to pay for it, like to build. Tax, nobody like it. So nobody will show your own true preference about that public service. So everybody want to get on for free. That is nothing but free rider. Free rider, in definition, a person who receives the benefit of good but avoid paying for it. So non-excludability means that directly going to free rider problem. And additionally, the non-rival. So somebody who take it doesn't mean that the number or enjoy the ability or possibility to enjoy that goods or services doesn't disappear. So anybody can enjoy it. Once it is built, everybody can enjoy it. And that's true value for it. If it is good for the society, we need to build it. But everybody want to enjoy it. We are ready for it, but not for paying for it. Free rider problems. We cannot easily dealt with. So what's the consequence? Under this case, the result is obvious, right? even though it is necessary, or even more is better in the perspective of social optimum, but underproduced. Because of the issue with free rider, nobody will show true preference out of these public goods. So what should we do? Government perspective, yeah, we deal with this as the certain way to what is the true preference of these goods and find out how we can provide them in our economy. So usual problem of public goods are underproducing or not producing at all because of free rider problem. But how we can solve this, right? We need to find out true information about it. Well, cost benefit analysis, right? But this one is also going through political decision making process. So under the perspective of economists, that's always a shame, right? There is a lot of other things involving those decision making process. It is not decided by the efficiency, the cost or benefit for it. How we can measure it, always arguing. There is not that easy decision once it is decided. And after all, as time goes by, each decision can be criticized with the other parties or political positions. That's a mess. But theoretical point of view, right? We need to do cost-benefit analysis to decide if this public service is necessary or not. Other than that, in private setup, it will not provide it. So finally, I just introduced some important public goods, and then moving on to the next concept, which is common resources. Let's look at the public goods first. One, yeah, good classical example, national defense. Second one, knowledge-based, thing, product, but knowledge itself, right? Advanced by the natural science or, national university or research center research it and then development and then having the idea, then knowledge that is publicly developed, that is not developed or researched by the purpose of profit maximization. Those things we will open to the general public, right? Another thing is, yeah, as the time goes by, the issue is huge right now, but nowadays other issues so far, it's like under the water right now, but this one should be dealt properly. So before the COVID, we experienced about the financial market breakdown. Before that, we think about this issue very seriously, like fighting poverty or inequality issues. But after all, financial crisis and COVID, and now take care of this inflation worldwide, and without or worrying about the recession at this point. So this issue is a little bit less, focused right now, but obviously we need to deal with it. Now let's think about common resources. Common resources have a characteristic like a public good. Common resources are not excludable, so pricing scheme is not working like a private goods. Also have some, free riders issues, cannot prevent a free rider from using, and like under that property free rider problem, privately it is not usually provided by or produced by the private firms, companies. So there is not that many incentive to do it because there is no system to charging the price. So government should, looking at it, proper amount of, product or services should be produced under this and a control about the supply of it. Additional problem of common resources is a rivalry. So it's a free, but the size of total usage or total amount is limited. So once you used up, it is disappeared. Rival. Non-excludable but rival common resources. So transferable commons. Right? I explained it last time. So each person's use reduced total ability to use, which means that total amount is limited. Once you use it, large N as a total number is diminishing, right? So government need to control about supply or the size of it. Yeah, we're looking at the government roles, but we slightly touch about private solution for these issues. So I explained a little bit twisted version of tragedy of commons, but this one is original one maybe. Originally it's a ship, but it's a twisted version. I just introduced cow instead of it. So everything else is very similar, right? So settings, medieval town where sheep grazes on the common land. As a population grows, the number of sheep grows, and farmers coming up to graze them. The amount of land is fixed. The grass begin to disappear from the overgrazing. The private incentive outweigh the social incentive. So result, people can no longer raise a sheep because, grass field is gone. Transitive commons. How we can deal with it? Property rights, right? So allowing one to flock to get graze on common land reduce its quality for other families is the tragedy. But so here is the policy options. So regulate the use of resources, like giving the property rights, or government to directly control quantity controls, or the permits, or all different type of thing can be imaginable. Impose a corrective tax to internalize the externality. So under certain cases, hunting, fishing license. Yeah, in US, there is a certain hunting season of deers, and once you go fishing, you need to buy a license to participate in the fishing activities. Entrance fee for congested national park. Yeah, congestion itself is another issue for national park or public goods services. But in this case, congestion itself is existing, then it is turning out to rival issue. If public park is so large, then the size itself is accommodation is really big, then that's a public good cases. Rivalry doesn't work. Non-rival. Rival again, what is that? Once you take it, someone else cannot take it. So under that park cases, what you can consider as a rival is coming out congestion. So size of park is small or not that enough, then somebody else took it, like 10,000 or 100,000 people is already showing up, congestion happens. Then it's turning out to rival property. So public goods cases to the categorization is going to the common resources. And some other cases we didn't mention last time, auction off, like a permit. But then, permit is already determined. Auction off means that, privately trade with that for permits. So tickets or rights, you need to emit the pollutant. So that is another thing, like spectrum auctions by U.S. Federal Communication Commissions, which is the frequencies of buying, you broadcasting or using the certain frequency have some kind of permit. By doing so, you can have rights to sending out the signals like that. So some issue of this, common resources, how we can deal with it, like a congestion issue, can be regulated, government regulations and the government policy can deal with. Tax is one thing, permits or license or those controls. By doing so, their property is going to the government. Even private property, somebody who else have it, cause theorem is another solution we already talked about. So finally, I just mentioned about what is the important case, like an important example of common resources. Clean air, water is one. congested road, park, once congested public services or categories is turning to the common resources because non-rival is turning to rival as a characters. Fish, whales, and other wildlife, like a number or population is limited, and you catching it, then it is the total number is diminishing. So in that perspective, it's a rival, but it is not like directly you buying it, right? That access is free. So those things are easily, you can say, common resources. And that is, there is no price involving. Price scheme is, invented. So that is not excludable, but common resources are rival. Public goods are non-rival at the same time. So today we discuss about the 4 categories of goods. Among them, today we are focusing more on public goods and common resources. So free riding problem we discussed today, right? Once price schemes is not working, everybody want to enjoy it but doesn't want to pay it. Especially rivalry is working, the common resources, the goods are belonging to common resources. Non-rival property is a holding, it is belong to the public goods. So public goods tend to under-providing or not providing at all, right? While common resources tend to be over-consuming. So the issue is a tragedy of commons. Well, this issue can be solved by Coase theorem, which is proper property rights assigned, then issue can be solved in private setups. So mainly these issues are coming out, property right is not well defined. So other cases, nobody owns the air, so no one can charge on it. So far there is a lot of air pollutant outside of the clean air that makes a lot of issue. Now the earth suffer from it. And nobody can charge for the national defense. So even though everybody can enjoy it. So yeah, if there is a nobody or government doesn't want to have those kind of service to produce by it, then yeah, it can easily turn into no defense. Well, there is historical or national, history. There is some Switzerland is one of the example, right? They just don't want to providing national service or national defense under that cases. But yeah, historical point of view, I don't know. I'm not expert of Switzerland or European history. Somebody knows it, let me know about it. But except that country, we need to taking care of these issues. We have rights, so we need specific national defense. But public good cases makes us or make a private setup cannot solve the issue. Public good cases only can be solved by the government policy. So today we covered public goods and common resources mainly, and we looking at the 4 categories: private good, public good, common resources, and club good. So as time goes by, we have a chance to looking a little bit more on the club good later, but general setup and the property we need to think about and how we can deal with it a little today. So please go over the characteristic. As long as you understand the characteristic and easily or intuitively you can understand what is the characteristic of it and how the problems happens and how government can solve it. Okay, let's call it a day. Have a good one and see you soon.